Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to our LinkedIn podcast today. Welcome to Power of Knowing Firms LinkedIn live podcast today. We are streaming live this session across YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Today we have the honor of having Mr. Charudatta Pande, advisor, board member, managing director of Suhrud Consultants, digital mindset coach, enabling leaders to adopt technology as a growth partner. Charudat brings with him a wealth of knowledge and experience on leadership and technology and advisory services. Today, Charudat will be sharing insights on power of data, leveraging technology for business expansion. We are excited to have him on sharing his expertise and in engaging a meaningful discussion. So, without further ado, we will welcome Mr. Charudat Pandey to the platform. Welcome, Charudat. Good evening. Welcome to our show.
Thank you so much, Prem, for this amazing opportunity to interact with the audience. Good evening, good morning, wherever you are. I look forward to sharing whatever that I've gathered in these years.
Yeah. Sir, how has data driven decision making transformed the way business strategies for expansion?
You look at the life in a very different way. Right now, people look at life in a two very distinct one. One is the life pre-COVID, life post-COVID. I think so.
Sorry.
We always
Yeah.
discuss that COVID has been a bigger promoter of digital transformation compared to anything else. And whether we look at the cruelty within the statement itself, but unfortunately, it did happen. So we have a situation where
Sorry about the glitch. There is some that on the app that is there. It is reposting it. Sorry about that. Yeah.
no. So let's
Right.
look at the life the way it stands today. If you look at the S&P index, conventionally, any company which was into S&P 500 lasted there for about 30-35 years on an average. What we are seeing currently is that lifespan has come down to about 12 years. You look at the whole adoption of the companies which reached a valuation of $1 billion or beyond, the life that it took to reach to that particular level has come down very fast. You look at all the new age companies, the companies who are valued at the amazing valuations that we see around the world, the Teslas of the world, they have really not been there for a very long period of time. So we see a situation wherein the things are changing at a very rapid rate. And it is practically impossible for anyone to take any kind of a decision based on the so-called experience bit, right? We always had a situation wherein people believed that we are going to learn, we are going to pick up from those experiences, and we are going to use those experiences to make certain decisions. And the whole popular word that term was intuition. We take certain intuition-based decisions, and those things are driven by your experiences, and we come somewhere, end up reaching at the right level. But in this whole, if I want to use a jargon, the VUCA word, those concept of taking those informed decisions in that particular way are no longer applicable. We have a very dynamic world. We have a completely different global economy today. We have very different challenges compared to what the challenges existed before. So none of the parameters that we had taken in our previous avatars or the people who had taken in their premium are currently applicable today. So we have a very different situation and a very dynamic situation. In this part, the only thing that will work well for any business is to take a decision based on what is happening around you. And the only way of looking at what's happening around you is to take something based on a data. Because practically for a human being, processing everything that's happening around them is absolutely impossible. You need some data points, you need some sets of information to come together, make certain sense, and then present it to you in a more of an encapsulated platform for you to take a specific decision. Without that, just getting the things for the sake of it will not give you those right points. So it's very important for us to ensure that we get the right information, and that right information is what would give you the right insight. The thing which is also getting added in the current context is also the fact that we have a very different workforce composition today. We have got very senior entrepreneurs, people who are into their 60s, 70s, who are still willing to run their business. We have a generation which is around 40, 45, which is open to technology because they have seen the change, so they are far more open. And we have a young workforce which is getting into the business, which is absolutely tech savvy. The only thing that they need is basically a number, a computer, some data that's coming in. And let me also give you a little different example, but we all can relate to that. When we were growing up, at that point in time, whatever our parents had to say, that was the final word for us, right? So we always respected that this something when he said, Tauji ne kaha hai, uncle ne kaha hai, mamaji ne kaha hai, that had a view. Now in today's context, even if it's with my own daughter, so I'm only one of the opinion that she gets, right? She has about 25 other opinions from her friends, colleagues, everything, her friends in society, college, the school, what she's on net, and she takes a decision based on that. So we have a very different workforce which exists in today, coming in from different parameters, bringing in very different values, taking those decisions. With this particular part, it's absolutely crucial for us to ensure that we have some common thing, some common platform for us to make those decisions. And that common platform which does not lie is the data. So if you want to grow and build your business, the fundamental thing that you need today is the data.
Okay. Lengthy answer, but yeah, more of inputs to that. Thank you for that. Can you share a success story where technology and data played a pivotal role in driving business growth?
Okay, I'll share with you three specific examples. Now, the first example is with a amazing co-living startup. Okay, this was started by two friends, husband and wife. They came in together and they started this business, built up a beautiful business. They had three different verticals they were operating. One was for college students, other was for sailors, and third was some commercial arrangements that they were doing for vacations and all. So when we looked at their business and we started plotting how their business is growing, what is the profitability per segment, and what is the time resources compared to output that they are getting, we realized that the whole student business was drawing far more of the resources compared to the output this was that they were able to do. And then they closed down that particular vertical, moved to the rest of the two verticals, and they got some amazing results. The startup was able to generate some amazing revenue even during the COVID times, and currently they are doing extremely well. The second example on data-driven decision is a conventional thing that happens in any manufacturing industry. This is a classical pharmaceutical packaging manufacturer based out of Gujarat. And during the 2008-9 period, when there was a little bit of a slowdown and they wanted some order, they got a very huge amount of order from a South Africa-based company. And since then, for about 10 years, they have been very consistently billing to this particular company, and that company has been a great paymaster to them. And it reached to a situation where almost 12% of the revenue for this particular company was coming in from the South African company. Then we looked at the overall profitability of the business, we did a detailed analysis, and we looked at the whole pricing, what they were doing, what's the cost of production, at what point in time they were selling. And what it turned out is that they were selling to this particular entity with a 3% net loss.
Oh, okay.
They were very promptly paying. They were doing everything was doing good. They were very happy with this particular part. But if you look at the net profit, that's where somewhere they were going wrong. So we had to go negotiate with them, and we had to get the things back for the company to become profitable again. The one. The third thing is about a services company. Now, this services company is into a very specialized robotics business, and for them they ended up signing contracts which provided them with a kind of not a formal compulsion. The support was just for about 3 years, but they signed up a contract with the client that even if it takes about 15 years for you, we'll ensure that all the space and everything is available for you. Now, to
Okay.
ensure that they are able to honor this commitment, they ended up picking up huge amount of space. and they were
Mm.
the whole services business was doing very profitably. Everything was going nice till the time COVID hit. But when they wanted to come out of the COVID and they were looking at the numbers, we realized that they had almost 10 crores worth of spares which they were holding for last 11 years.
Okay.
You imagine the capital that was blocked in this particular part and look at the challenge that they were facing on the working capital side. We were able to generate certain offers, offer that whole thing to their customers at a very part and liquidate a very significant amount of them out of the whole money for them to ensure that they came back to the business and now they are doing extremely well. So this is what happens if you the moment you start looking at the things from a very objective perspective, a lot of things can happen.
Yeah, definitely true. There is a whole perspective to it, and how you look at the direction of taking the business goes in that direction. And there are a lot of things that get turned out without much effort there. Okay. In what ways can emerging technologies such as AI, machine learning be harnessed for expanding business operations?
One of the beautiful things or the advertise that I see is the Samsung advertisement in terms of somebody communicating and on the go voice translation, right? The first thing that
Okay.
I see the use is purely in terms of communication. I think the way we are looking at the industry today, we are going through a whole transformation across global supply chains. We have an issue wherein companies are trying to de-risk their business by reaching out to different geographies, and the business is happening across various geographies which did not happen before. Now,
Okay.
the moment you try and reach out to different geographies, the first challenge that you face is the communication. I'm not saying that all the tools are absolutely great in terms of communication. We may not be able to do the literal, the whole literature level or poetic translation, but a lot of them is good enough for you to convey what you want to convey, right? So
Okay.
using that particular part is one very important thing. The second thing that I see wherein people would be able to use the build up on the communication part is a lot of people are very good at their business, but they may not be absolutely great in terms of their communication. So certain point in time, certain tools can also be used to limited extent to manage their communication part. That is one thing I see which is doing very well. The second part that you already see in action, and we experience that day in day out in action, is about using different kind of prompts, or particularly in the e-commerce market. So kind of suggestions that we keep on getting every time we go and buy. Like Amazon is advertising that you want to style yourself, right? They are taking it whole to the FTV level, but even if it's not still a fashion, may not be a full-fledged fashion, but they are giving you advice on what you need to buy. And we have been experiencing that you go and try and buy a mobile phone on Amazon at one point in time, no matter which side go, you will start seeing mobile phones, right?
Right.
So things
Right.
are happening. There are a lot of technologies which are there, the way you are being followed. So a lot of these technologies which are not conventionally used by different businesses, there's a very good possibility for businesses to start working with this basic part and see what can happen. Now, the other point which is coming in is also in terms of the data. Now, from where do you get the data? Can you go and search data all this particular every point in time? It may not be possible for you to look at, search for that data, collect that data every day morning, and then take some decisions based on that. It is very much possible for you to do some basic level of programming, get your youngsters to do some basic data crunching for you, and create a mechanism where you are getting some specific set of data available for you every day morning, every on a weekly basis or a monthly basis for you to make specific informed decisions. So this is where you can start.
Okay. Uh, what are the key challenges businesses face while implementing data driven expansion strategies, and how can they overcome them?
This is a very
Yeah.
loaded question, I tell you. Because the moment you ask this, a lot of people get offended by saying कि तू कौन होता है मुझे बताने वाला.
Okay.
See what happens is this is a classical fight that happens in industry. Somebody who is an industry veteran and he is looking at certain data. His point is that I spent 25 years in this industry and I know what my customer wants. Where do
Mm.
I stand? How it's going to go? Comparatively, you have got a young data scientist reaching out to him and saying, "Sir, this is where the world is going." He said, "That's when it gets तू कौन है बताने वाला," right? So this is where the fight begins in terms of
True.
looking at
True.
what's happening, why do you need to come up with. But the moment you start getting little serious on this particular part. And this is where the seniors need to change their mindset towards data and start working with individuals to look at specific data points, is to see as to what how the things are changing. I'll give you some very specific patterns. Now we look at the change in IT industry from work from home.
Hmm.
Right? So work from home is a completely different part. So people reaching out is different. The kind of clothes people would wear is different. The standard normal industry which is coming different. I won't have imagined me in this particular avatar getting into a formal conversation, but this is fine today,
Hmm.
right? The blazer is also fine. This is also fine. So the customer demands are changing. Youngster demands are changing. The very rich, one particular movie getting released in Hollywood is right now getting distributed everywhere, right?
Right.
The moment this entire distribution is happening at all the locations, imagine what's the impact that you need to it would have, and the youngsters would immediately want those T-shirts, those gadgets, everything coming in, right? iPhones for any new kind of phone coming in, any gadgets coming in, any new web series coming in, the dialogues, movies, everything spreads so fast. So you need to align yourself to those changes, right? The young generation has, if you look at let's look at a very conventional industry like a finance also. Now you look at a industry like finance, we had home loans, regular loans part of it, right? Now there is a whole set of people who go and advocate, say that please, if you want to become rich, please don't go and buy a home. So there is a crowd who doesn't want to go.
Yeah.
There's also parallelly a crowd who is right now, and this happening, it's a reality. People are saying that why do you really want to have kids? If you really want to offer that love to someone, please have pets. Whether we like it or not, or whether we come from a very different background, these are some of the realities of market today. And for that particular part, the only way for us to go and respond is to be absolutely prepared to look at the data without absolutely any mental block. Openly look at this particular data and start working on it. Just to build up on this particular part, if I look at a very conventional organization and the challenges that they are facing on this conventional side, what you would realize is that some of these people would have certain set of information available with them on their laptop. So there is one central repository in organization, a so-called ERP system that would have all transactional data. There would be certain reports that are generated on only specific machines that would have another set of information. There would be one set of reporting that's coming in from bosses, which is to bosses from field, which is in third set of information. This gets filtered and subsequently gets to the management in another format. So we always are very good at creating those silos within our organization. So unless we get into that idea of creating, if I want to use a slang, a single version of truth, right? It's a very loaded statement, but unless you create that single version of truth, that's a that's always going to be the challenge. So getting everybody into confidence that nobody is here in the business of stealing their data to do something, but getting that data to come on a single platform and take the right decision for the organization, building that confidence is the first phase, and then backing up with all the actions is the way to take it forward.
How do we prioritize data security and privacy while leveraging technology for business expansion?
Okay. Now, how many of you actually go and get a call saying that कि सर आपको लोन चाहिए? आप एक बार गाड़ी ले लो. एक
Ah,
साल जैसे आपने गाड़ी का पेमेंट कर दिया, people start coming and saying कि सर आपका गाड़ी का एक साल हो गया ना, we are willing to give you 2 years, two times of that particular loan to you in a business loan format, loan format, anything that comes in, right? So this is the impact. This is the real time thing that we are facing. And on an average, I think that every Indian probably gets at least 10 spam calls every day. Now there is a new
not
automated,
10, sir. I will take my example.
yeah,
I've been doing lot of work. Earlier, we had an NGO, and part of the NGO we did not know that time the challenges. We put our numbers on the website, okay, and from that day to today, there are so many calls which come and they ask either for kind of a support, something or that. But asking support is not a problem. But if the same call comes every month and they'll ask the same thing, and you will be in a mid of a meeting, and suddenly somebody will call you and say, "Sir, you want personal loan?" So
exactly.
that's the and I think when I was looking at or talking at few of the call center people in our shows, what we understood was there will be a set of people who would be taking separate set of organizations, like one on bank, one on insurance, one on health stuff, and it will be from the same organization. 10 people sitting, you call for insurance, you call for personal loan, I'll call for home loan, and the whole series you'll get. One call comes, then the next 10-15 minutes you'll have series of calls, one for health insurance, one for personal loan, and one for OD. So this is the calls that I've been getting all through last 7-8 years. I put DND whatever, it does not help.
That is the cost of privacy that we are talking about. That
Yeah.
it is basically going to a situation where even the right set of information that somebody is trying to reach out to you, you may actually end up missing it because there is so much of thing that's happening in there. That's the first thing that you are losing. That your whole approach, particularly, this is very applicable for everybody who's in a generic business. Probably from a B2B businesses wherein the communication is happening through various other sources. This
Hmm.
may not be that niche, but particularly for the other businesses, this is an issue. So the when you look at this particular part, maintaining the privacy of the contact information itself is a very important thing. Secondly, what you needs to happen is that if you're building one particular prospect for a large people who are into large deals, large enterprise deals, you build up a prospect to a level where they are actually going ready to close. Somebody gets that information, does a 0.25% correction on your offer, and they pick up the deal. Right?
Yeah.
All your effort for this particular part is gone. So from that part, it's very important for you to do. You protect your bid, and this can start at a very specific level. People need to be taught. I repeat, people need to be taught very
Yes.
categorically on how you need to maintain your privacy. Just because you're, if you encourage somebody to send it कि okay आप पिछले ऑर्गेनाइजेशन से आ रहे हो तो वहाँ का डेटा लेकर आ जाओ. अगर वो वहाँ
Hmm.
से डेटा लेकर आएगा तो आपके यहाँ से जब जाएगा तो आपका भी डेटा लेके जाएगा.
Huh.
Right? That is the cycle. It's a cycle of karma, whether you like it or not. So somewhere you need to start working on this part that you need to look at it. The other things that there are very simple tools which are available today, which can help you protect your data. There are a lot of solutions which are coming in from the larger players like Microsoft and all who are, if you are typically dealing with the Office suite or if Google has got some solutions, there are a lot of niche players who have got very, very affordable solutions which are there available for you to deploy in your business to work. They can start even at just about 1500 rupees per year. They are that cheaper kind of solutions which are available for you to. But the beginning has to be sensitizing the people about this information, the impact of those information, what can happen. And once you start building it up as a culture, then only tools and everything come in handy. Because if you are not doing that, taking a screenshot or taking a photo and sending it to everybody is also kind of things that are happening. So it's all about building that cultural sensitivity first and then complementing that with the right set of tools for things to happen.
Okay. Great insights there. And what we understand is it is very important for us to have the piracy set there. That's the important that we are talking about here.
Yes.
Could you elaborate a role of predictive analysis for in forecasting market trends and facilitating business expansion plans?
Okay. Now, predictive analytics in today's world is the most fascinating thing that you can
Fascinating
see
thing. Yeah.
because it has changed the way we are able to look at it. There are so many
Right.
beautiful models which are available today, talking about different aspects of business and how they are impacting. Very smallest of things like we have heard for years together saying कि इस साल मानसून कैसे रहेगा. और
Hmm.
उसके हिसाब से तो कॉमन बचपन से सुनते हैं राइट फ्रॉम द डीडी न्यूज डे के इस साल मानसून अच्छा रहेगा तो इतना प्रेडिक्शन होगा. सो समवेयर वी नो कि कुछ ना कुछ मॉडल बिल्ड हो रहे हैं, वहां से चल रहा है. फिर बाद में मार्केट वाले लोग कहेंगे कि सेंसेक्स इतना जाएगा, उतना जाएगा, ये स्टॉक इतना जाएगा. यू लुक एट यूट्यूब, सर्च फॉर अ स्टॉक वीडियो एंड फॉर your entire life you will keep on getting all the gyan available for hours together on the part of it. That's on the lighter part of it. Coming back specifically to business and the predictive part of it, we need to understand that our business is ultimately related to how our customer is going to perform, and our customer is going to perform based on certain parameters that are applicable in their business. So your ability to assess those particular parameters and prepare yourself on all those particular part is the way we look at the predictive part. We have been doing this particular thing for years together, right? It's not that we have not been doing it. अगर होता है तो इस साल अगर धूप ज्यादा हो रही है तो प्रॉब्ली घर वाले सोचते हैं कि बारिश ज्यादा होगी, तो माँ पहले से कुछ जो in summer there is a tradition in India, right? This we keep something, we dry up certain food items so that they work for us in the monsoon, right? So for generations together, this is something that has been happening. So this existed for years together and it is happening. That's a very ancient way of predicting. But just building on the business today, particularly you look at how different geographies are moving today. What's happening in the Europe? What are the different trends that we see? Currently, there was a very beautiful report which had come in terms of the electric vehicle market and how the EV market is moving. The moment you start looking at the way our EV market is doing, what are things that are happening? Based on that, what's the impact on my business? The moment I'm talking about EV, the entire engine and the whole ecosystem of engine is gone, right?
Sir,
That goes with
I have Dr. Sharat Shekhar Pawar, who's a speaker and he runs a series with us on this podcast. He is from Secure Cloud. He had some questions, so I thought I'll bring him on stage and I would ask Mr. Shekhar Pawar. Welcome, Shekhar Pawar, to our show. Uh, Go ahead, sir. You had some questions, and sir, you are on mute. I think we are not able to hear you.
Okay, so I was listening your interview. It is very interesting. I added a few questions. So
Chelsea.
as you are aware, like you are talking about not only the power of data, but how to secure this and leverage this power, right? And as we are aware, like Digital Data Privacy Act (DPDP 2023) has been passed, but still same things are happening. Every day there is a Bajaj Finance call and many calls happening, and how, I don't know how to block it. But yeah, and suppose and companies are facing like as there is no strictness uh, in the system. So if you are not doing such kind of marketing, then you are not going to grow your business. So they are trying their best to reach customers or prospects. So they are doing their job, but I'm not sure when government will be very strict and few penalties will be given. Like in DPDP, there is a provision of having penalties like 10,000 till 250 crore penalties, right? If you are breaching the act. And so I don't know when it will get implemented, but I was just trying to ask you question related to it. What is your view on this?
Sir, we are all in business, right? So if you probably none of us, at least if one day everybody gets a message from some digital marketing company, or may not be a pure one digital marketing company, you would also get a company from say that, do you want to use the power of WhatsApp to reach out to multiple people?
Yeah.
What I am sensing today currently is that a lot of businesses are going through different cycles, right? So the reason why government hasn't really gone very hard on this particular part, one is obviously the elections are around. So the last thing you want is some other things to open up compared to what the things are happening. I see a little more a stricter implementation of these all particular laws once the things stabilize and we move beyond June. I think we will see a little different traction coming on this particular space. Cyber security as a police and all, they are amazingly prepared. I was fortunate to work with them on certain initiatives and I have seen their preparation first time. They are just amazing, but the task is humongous. They need to really, they're really finding it tough. And okay, I'm not sure if I should be saying this, but let me also put it on this particular part. Look at what is the cost of committing a cyber crime today, right? The cost of committing a cyber crime today is a phone worth about 1,000 rupees, right? Some data point or some copy image that you have got at some particular place, and some SIM card with some particular balance. You work with some set of people and you work and you try and make some money get this particular part. The whole entry point for this particular crime today is so low that it is attracting a very large crowd in this particular part. इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बिल हो गया, फिर उसके बाद में there is a new scam scenario, we are calling you from police and your son is here, your daughter is here, somebody has had an accident. It's a pretty unfortunate situations, but there is a lot being played with human emotions at this point in time to work. I think there is a lot of effort at a very senior level within bureaucracy and within the police part also to see what is the best way for them to do that. But somewhere the solution lies in us working more towards it as a society also, compared to just expecting the law to take its part. Law will surely do their bit, But somewhere we also need to educate more number of people, particularly the vulnerables, the senior citizens, and the
Yeah.
people towards the retirement age. I think they are the ones who get a lot more sensitive towards this particular part and end up getting losing a lot of money. So it's probably time to sensitize them a bit. I
I
think that's
recent
the way for this time for the time being. Yeah.
I recently heard somebody where a aged person lost her all savings because of SBI fraud that came up, and
Yes.
she was asked to give an OTP, and she gave the OTP, and finally she found that all the money in her account got lost. So something that kind is happening more and more. You are right, Charu, saying that there are certain people who are very vulnerable here in that case of senior citizens. Uh, that's an important thing that government has to crack down. And if you see, that is happening specifically with SBI. Most of the calls are predominantly from SBI, is what we understand. Uh, Coming ahead, what advice would you give businesses looking to adopt data first approach for their expansion endeavors?
Okay. I have a very simple framework called Digit. Okay. I have defined this as a very simple one, a five-step process. The first step is that you need to define what your processes, right? Second, you need to identify what are your top challenges today. Okay. Third step is you generate ideas to address those challenges. Then you identify and implement a system. And the fifth step is to transform your business. Okay. So we need to go sequentially for us to get this particular part. Something just adopting, I like Udo platform or I like ERP next time. I just want SAP in my business because I want to show people that I have SAP or I have Oracle. Doesn't make sense, right? So for you to, if you want to look at from a business expansion perspective, first you need to identify what are the challenges. Conventionally, we work on two sides. One is the revenue part. The moment you want to look at the revenue, you need to understand how what is your sales cycle, how you go and build your client, which is the right system for you to get that visibility. Every business ratio has a different conversion cycle, and based on that conversion cycle and the steps involved, you need to have the right CRM for you to work. If you have got a very field sales oriented team, then you need a very mobile, easy application which can give you a lot of insights. Even if you are able to give them a voice command, that makes it far easier for them to put in the data and you get more real time data for that. If you have a large sales cycle, which is a far more review oriented and a purely a B2B business, then you need a system which is going to capture a lot of information, ask that particular person right set of questions for you to get those qualifications, and then based on taking a particular deal. So identifying that particular right system for your business to get those right insights is the key. That, and you need to also understand that this point in time is that you would need to put in a lot of your own intelligence in that system today, because getting the right manpower today is a huge challenge. So it's better for you to define the right process and get the best possible manpower and bring that manpower into that process that you have defined, so that they follow that particular part and give you the results that you have been getting for years. That's where I see things beginning.
Thank you. How can small and medium sized enterprises leverage big data analytics to compare with large corporations in expanding their market? I think, see, what we have is Dr. Shekhar Pawar also looks at the MSMEs. So it is more to a question between both of you. I would like to have your views, Charu, that's the first, and then we'll go to Dr. Shekhar Pawar on this.
Okay. I believe that Indian MSMEs will follow their own path. So fundamentally, Dr. Shekhar would also appreciate that there is a standard growth curve, adoption curve, the Gartner curves of the world that we see, which has existed and came upon data based on how things have happened in the past. If you are talking about the things that are happening right now, it's very, very uncertain, and the adoption curve in India is going to be very, very different compared to how it has happened globally. There's a beautiful session by Mr. Nandan Nilekani about digitalization in India, where he talks about how it's going to differ from how the digitalization is happening in the world, including the payment systems that are happening. So I think we are going to follow our own world. It's going to work. I think the first thing that needs MSME needs to look at is that they don't really need to follow the large company pattern in terms of getting the systems, getting all the data, creating those data warehouses or data lakes, building something on the top of that BI engine, and then the data and the predictive. That's a conventional cycle that has happened. They don't really
Hmm.
need to get into this particular convention cycle. They need
Okay.
to understand what their business is. What are a very simple thing like a SWOT. You
Hmm.
really understand what are the opportunities for you to grow and see how you are able to pick up those opportunities. For example, I see a particular opportunity for me to export some particular set of automotive components for electric vehicles that are coming in Europe because there is a traction, or there is an opportunity for you to look at some specific set of products that you can supply to US, right? If you sense that particular opportunity for you, you can partner with the right set of service providers to get that specific information, specific analysis done for you. You don't need to have that talent build that particular part and work. Currently, the very idea of using different services is the best way for MSMEs to work on this. A lot of MSMEs are now comfortable with cloud as a term. Before that, वो काफी मेरे पास अपना सर्वर है वाला बहुत पार्ट था. मेरा सर्वर मेरी जिम्मेदारी, right? वो अभी people have moved from there and they have moved to cloud. So using cloud, using services, some of the things that they need to look at it. They need to pick up that sweet spot for them, what they need to, and use all the services that they have and get going along with it. Don't need to invest. Use the whole pay-per-use model to get leverage on those particular tools and work. The one important thing that's a change that's happening in India currently is that I'm seeing a lot of educational institutes currently coming up and willing to work with a lot of MSMEs. I think
Yeah.
leveraging the skill set and infrastructure from those particular parts to work and using the startup ecosystem would be key for MSMEs to leverage data.
Your view, Dr. Shekhar Pawar.
Yeah, so I did doctorate in this subject of MSME cybersecurity. So according to my research, I interacted with top management of 19 countries of small and medium enterprises, including India, and they are saying there are three major problems. First thing is they don't have money to implement cybersecurity. They feel it is like a punishment to implement cybersecurity if they are having different visions and goals. Secondly, they are saying all the standards available in market are generic in nature. So why shall we invest in cybersecurity if it is not talking about our business goals? And we don't have skilled resources, teammates to implement it. And thirdly, they are saying we are not able to see any return on investment. Why? It is a useless investment. So they don't understand the importance of cybersecurity. If there is a virus on any computer, they are just formatting it. They are using pirated softwares. They are using pirated Windows, everything. So that is the ground reality. So I actually invented a new framework of cybersecurity, which is getting accepted worldwide. BDS Business Domain Specifically Cybersecurity Controls Implementation. So it is actually depending on your business domain, it gives you tailored controls. For pharma company, it gives 15 to 40 controls of pharma. For the school and college, it gives 15 to 40 controls required for school. For e-commerce, it gives 15 to 40 controls required for e-commerce. And I have converted it into AI/ML driven platform where 90% things are free. Only for the online audit they need to pay. And we are giving tools, policy document guidelines, email alert notification service, many things free of cost for MSMEs. So there is a lot of gap in at MSMEs, and as many news are cyber attack news are not even reaching to cyber cell. I authored a Praja report on Hindustan Times recently, and according to that, only 700 crimes happened in 2023 or 22 in Mumbai. Okay, so it means, and daily there are many calls reaching to me about cyber scams. So it is not a true data. There is a huge gap between data analytics available with the India and similar countries as compared to United States and Europe. So many cyber crimes are happening on United States municipality, including water supply system and many things. So it is already happening in India, but those are not reaching till news. So the statistics are lagging. So that is one area. So MSMEs need to get encouraged for implementing at least few controls, which we are recommending as a researcher. So that is what I am trying to promote. Thank you.
Thank you, Shekhar, for your inputs on that. Coming back to you, Charu, can you uh, discuss the significance of real-time data drive? Oh, that I asked. Sorry. What ethical consideration should business keep in mind when utilizing consumer data for expansion purposes? ethical considerations should be taken. Again, it comes to both because uh, we are talking about cybersecurity from Dr. Shekhar Pawar, and you are looking at data. So it is a more ethical practice how data and the security has to be looked at, which are correlated. Yeah, Charu,
Okay.
to use.
Sure. So, two parts to the parts. I'll go into the real-time data part first. Now, one of the things that you see currently is we are pretty much used to looking at maps, right? So, if you're traveling from one place to
Yeah,
another, we are very much used to looking at the maps and saying how the traffic is moving. It's not that you don't know the road, right?
yeah,
You are just looking at all this particular, if some particular incidents has happened, that is
mm,
basically, so if we, rather than spending that time on that particular part, you just simply take a route and go, right?
yeah,
So if we are so much used to looking at a map in particular way and seeing how this is happening, I think we should look at this particular concept as just like a map. While
yeah,
although you mean that you are actually moving from one location to another, you need to look at what are the some real time inputs. Let's get a particular example. Say that you are going to drive a very large deal with a pharma company, right? And this particular pharma company is on some particular part has particular drug which has and for which there is something incidents that happened and probably they would need a very high demand for this particular part, right? So if they need particular demand, you can go and produce more. If you're in a FMCG business, if the summer is really the way it's going this year, right? So you would have a lot of fluids that you would need to push, right? There are certain
yeah,
set of different product that will happen. If you don't get that kind of a part, something different will happen. So every time there's an opportunity for you to do smallest of the corrections for you to capture that particular demand. And gaining that particular competitive advantage is just about that part. You remember that thing in between that happened with Maggie when the whole content was there was
yeah,
an issue and Maggie had to be taken off the shelf for some point in time. Imagine so many of the brands that have come up in that particular space, right? Somebody was just looking at that part, got that opportunity, just distributed and got
yes,
this particular part, right? So there
correct.
is an opportunity always that comes. The classical example, if you want to look at the other part, is also the
Maggie was a
packaging.
great example. Maggie was a
Yes.
great example, Charu, because
Yeah.
when we looked at the data, there were so many people who were addicted to Maggie at that time, right? So, and while I was traveling in Kashmir side, where we went for some trekkings, we didn't have anything else. There was only Maggie that was available in those cold structures, and it used to be served hot, and during that period it was very much heat is what I understand from the kind of food segment that was hit on the hilly regions or the snow regions was very high at that time, and they were looking for alternatives, and they were able to get some alternatives, but they could not beat what Maggie was giving them. So that's a thing that I've got to understand, Charudatta.
True. So currently, the way we look at it, see, everything is changing in a very different way today. The things that are happening across one part of the world have a very
Mm.
immediate impact on what's happening, right? Something happens in Middle East, we have an immediate impact on what's happening here, right? The moment there is a sanction happening in, you just look at the metal prices today, right? The metal prices have gone up. You look at the simple price of a cable that you are buying. The price of a single electrical cable has gone up by 22%, right? So if you don't really have this kind of real time estimate with you all the time, they will keep on adding up to your expenses. Even if you're a small project company, even if you're
Mm.
creating a setup, say that you are buying item worth just about 10 lakhs worth of cables, there is all of a sudden 2 lakhs more that you would need to pay. So you need to
Yes.
have this real time calibration happening all the time. Now, if you
Mm.
don't pass it on, that's going to get out of your bottom line, right?
Correct.
So for you to have this real time thing is very important. Secondly, I also see the reason for us to going real time is also when you're looking at people in today's context. I think somewhere it is very important for us to not intrude beyond the point, but also keep an idea or keep a track of how people are currently operating. I think personally, mental well-being is something very close to my heart, and I have
Mm.
seen a lot of things that are not so great examples that I can quote that have happened in the last 4 years. So I think it is very important for us, purely from a humanitarian perspective, also at some point in time, is to just keep a track of how things are happening. If somebody is letting going slow, sluggish, even in, for IT companies where we have RG part, it's good just to go and just nudge. Is
Mm.
everything going right? Just go for a cup of coffee, have a
Mm.
lunch together, and those things happen, right? So somewhere, right from that particular part to a pure business to a pure number, everything is about real time today.
Dr. Shekhar Par, your viewpoint here, sir.
So I guess not only in cyber crimes, but many places the human behavior is responsible for any such opportunity given to cyber threats and other places also. So like I should not take name of the movie, but there is one movie, South Indian movie, which dubbed into Hindi, and where the actor was like this and he was dancing like this, right? So he was cutting woods, chandan, sandalwoods, and he was selling. So you know the movie name, right? So
Yeah.
I watched that movie, and my son was 8 year old, and I was just dancing like in fun like this. So he asked me, "You watched that movie?" Yes. So what that hero does? I said uh, he sold all the sandalwoods. Is it legal work or it was illegal work? And you are
Oh,
dancing. He was making things against government, and you are dancing on it. So I realized, like, I never thought in that direction. I
direction.
accepted that person as a hero, and he
Right.
is a very good actor. I am fan of him. But
Yeah.
the moral of the story, what we are lagging somewhere. We are not thinking with uh, neutral view, and we
Mm,
are accepting thing unconsciously. And I guess that is one area where I felt ashamed of that. Like I was I should have taken some different moral from the story. And there are many now, if you look at OTT platforms, there are many series and movies, Januar kind of movie, right? So it
right.
is going out of context, and it is
Yeah.
very, and even the small kids in the hometown or villages,
Yeah.
rural areas are watching pornography at 2 year and second standard and fourth standard. So we
Not
are
only
totally,
that, Shekhar Par, you're
yeah,
right on what you're saying. Is not only that the new age games, if you see, it is more about destruction. It is
correct,
more about the way if I jump and break something, that's a nice thing for game. But what are we teaching? It is good to break, right?
correct,
It goes into a different context on what we are discussing at the moment on this topic of data. But
correct,
if you really look at the kind of message that we are passing, which is an again a data which is come for them to develop such thing, right?
correct,
Whether a game, it is more about the data that they get, what is the kind of usage, right? Data pattern gives them that. Now, how much of data is pushed in for an organization to build a game which is destroying something is also a data pointer, right?
correct,
Charu, if you are really looking at
Absolutely.
the data points are coming from various points, and now people are started to like these kind of characters, as Dr. Shekhar Pawar rightly said. What is the message we are giving? Smuggling is okay? No, but where is the data coming in? That kind of a movie, if that particular hero does, it works and they made money, right? The second thing is, what is the audience requiring? Some kind of a masala for 3 hours, right? Where is the data point? Again, somewhere the data is come saying that if this kind of an actor or this kind of a movie comes up into picture, people like him because of various reasons. Maybe the charisma that he runs as an industry lead actor. Second, what is he trying to portray? The kind of crime that is happening is also can be considered, right? And told. So these are all data points, which I think you, Charudatta and Dr. Shekhar Power would
yeah,
agree is one can be a data pointer, one can be look at a security angle. So both are very very closely related. You have some data pointers, but some data pointers can be good for analysis but bad for cyber security, right?
correct.
The kind of security that
And the
some
problem
data
is
is
like how we show in movies and series, we show the police as a criminal, right? Many
yeah,
times, and that is the reason why. I mean, I receive call because I'm on radio and many places spreading awareness about cybersecurity. So when I receive call, I ask them to report the FIR. So
yeah,
people are saying, no, I don't want my 20,000. It's okay. I'm not going to police. So they feel
yes,
like they will be tortured during this entire process, and this is the very big problem. Means I spoke to
mm,
few IS officers and commissioners also. I informed that like people are not ready to register FIR if the cyber crimes are happening, and that is the
yes,
biggest problem which should change, and there should be trust bonding and some ease of communication between these systems and people. So that
Yeah.
is lagging somewhere. That is, I'm really watching every day. So that's why I just brought this context.
Yeah, you're absolutely right on that, Dr. Shiv. Sir, again, what impact does the leveraging of IoT thing data has been streamlining business operations and supporting expansion? Because now, if you look at everything is sensor based. What is
Yeah,
happening today is, and it is an IoT device now. Now you take a mobile is sending you your location data, your pattern of buying, what you look at, what you browse for, what you purchase, right? And what content, kind of content that you watch is all getting tracked, right?
agree.
With this, how do we look at streamlining business operations, supporting the expansions of initiatives, sir?
I see currently the IoT is the change in the manpower scenario currently and the
Hmm.
availability is creating a perfect storm per
Yeah.
se for the IoT to come in India.
Hmm.
If you're working in any of the industry, particularly on the manufacturing side, you would realize that there is a huge amount of challenge in terms of getting the manpower. Okay,
Okay.
getting the skilled manpower is a bigger challenge, and if you get that skilled manpower, holding them in is even a bigger challenge, right? So conventionally, the whole cycle of how things got improved over a period of time, or that continuous improvement cycle that we have all been talking about and reading in our books, that improvement cycle is currently not viable. That is point number one, because that skill set and the manpower itself is an issue. Secondly, what we have been discussing, the change in business is also so fast that we will not be able to work with that gradual change. Okay, so that
Hmm.
that change has to be consistent, and that incremental change that we talk about, those increments need to happen much faster, right?
Yeah.
The only way for us to those increments to happen faster and more effectively is to make those increments happen based on the specific data points, right? And the
Hmm.
only way to capture these data points is to somehow measure them, right? So the moment you start talking about that data and measuring that particular data and taking decision based on those measurements, we have nothing but IoT, right? So what is IoT is basically that we have multiple things coming in together to give you set of information that will eventually make sense, right? So in today's context, whether you are driving a car or whether you are at your home, everything is eventually about things getting connected and synced together. What's getting displayed on your mobile gets displayed on your TV, get displayed on the tablet that you may be using. One way of looking at it, you can go home and set the temperature. You can go home and we all those have ads, right? Set temperature, start AC, get your cooking done.
Yeah.
Cool your beer at 7:30 in the evening, so we can use that example. So we can basically do multiple things that we are talking about, right? So whether it's in personal life or in industry, IoT is the thing that we need to do. We need to get the current manpower, the young talent which is coming into the industry, rightly channeled into that development. The
Okay.
expecting them to learn over a period of time, pick up those things and then go and work, it's not going to work. The way it's going to work with them is that you need to say, okay, this is the industry, this is how we have been learning it. Now we tell us how we can pick up different set of data on this and use particular set of algorithms for us to make this better. The
Hmm.
conventional FMCG uses a term called golden batch, right? So if I need
Okay.
to go and pack 1 kg atta in one particular part, or say 1 kg washing powder, the
Hmm.
settings in the machine are adjusted to a level wherein that gap is only about 1001 grams,
Hmm.
not less, because less will have an issue. Although you may have a 3 gram margin, but you will always go a gram more, and you will always consistently keep at there, so you are not losing 2 grams per pack, but you are also not underweight at any point. You are just about that 1 kg mark all the time, right? So that calibration, the way it happens, that level of calibration and the fine tuning needs to happen across all the industries today. Bring in that talent, give them that confidence, give them the opportunities to work, and some beautiful things will happen.
Any views here, Dr. Shekhar?
Yeah. So generally, many of the IoT devices are manufactured by China and many countries. And recent news, which was talking about Ek Magic, PC maker in China, they customize their own machines to get infected with the malware, and those machines were sold by in the market. So
Okay.
we should be aware of while we are purchasing any IoT devices, what is the source of that IoT device? So that is also nowadays very important, because that might have inbuilt malware kind of functionality and they are stealing data. That's why
Okay.
the TikTok and many things are banned now, nowadays
Hmm.
in many countries. In even United States, they have banned now in April. And apart from that, it is IoT devices are actually like a person, right? They are watching us and they are listening us. They are uh, with us every time in our home as a family member, and it is very suspicious. I'm very suspicious towards that, because everything can be hacked. Whatever is talking, whatever is connected to internet, whatever is talking to each other, to do two devices point to point communication, so that can be hacked. And it can be used for various purposes, not only for collecting data, and it will also calculate the behavior of people. It will also can be used for particular cyber crime at mass level. So these things are already happening, and it is very important to be very conscious while we are adopting any IoT devices in industry as well as in personal life. So that is my opinion.
Thank you, Shekhar Pahar, for that. Can you share some KPIs that business should monitor to measure their data-driven expansion efforts?
Okay. I'll give some specific cases to build on, looking at how do you, what are the specific things that you can monitor. Now, I'll give you a case of a perfume manufacturer, a
Hmm.
deodorant and perfume manufacturer. Right? So, when you are this kind of business, when you are selling, the first thing that you do when you start looking at a product is monitor a specific product, sale of that particular product per day. Okay, or
Oh.
say what's getting picked up from one particular client on this part, because usually the tier 2 supplier who's going to actually selling over there, his trend is the right indicator for you to basically see how your product is moving. Okay, so that data points is not easily available, because you direct have access to the distributor, and beyond distributor sale is you need to make that effort to get that particular data. But those are the specific pointers. So one thing, the term that I enjoy is called sales velocity, right? Particularly from a sales part, one thing you need to look at is that how the sales is moving all the point in time, right? That's
Hmm.
one part I think we need to look at all the time on when you have this part, particularly on the revenue. Irrespective of the business that you are running at one point in time, there has to be a revenue focus that has to work, and this revenue can be tracked in terms of number of transactions that you are doing, depending on the nature of your part, number of transactions that are happening per day, value of transactions that are happening per day, the traction that's happening up, the lot size in which the particular material is being picked up. So all these
Hmm.
particular parts that you can pick up specifically based on the nature of business, purely on the revenue side. Then on the
That's
performance side, I see two different aspects that need to be, rather three things that we need to work on. The first thing that you need to look at is on your production or the conversion cycle. If it's you're a pure service industry, how your people are all operating, or in case of a production, what is your consumption, how it is moving, what are the tractions, what is the wastage that is happening. So keeping a particular track of those particular part is one. Keeping your uptime of the vehicles is again IoT comes in this particular part. We can have a very clear traction of how things are happening on their part. The third thing is also very important in today's context is also about tracking the overheads. I think the production and these two parameters are fairly controlled and they are looked at in this particular part. The third thing, which is a very the profit killer, is many times the overheads. With a
hmm.
lot of time, there will always be a fight saying that कि हमने तो जितना बोला था उसमें हमने कर दिया, तो हमारे टाइप में overall gross profit है, कंपनी को net profit नहीं है, because there are a lot of things that go in between called the overheads, right? So that's the third thing I would recommend organization to monitor. So based on your part, specific things in this particular part, even if you pick up two specific parameters or three specific parameters on this part, and you conduct a weekly review only on these 9 or 10 parameters, most of the companies would be able to perform or meet their targets.
Okay. Thank you for that. Looking ahead, what emerging trends do you foresee in intersection of technology, data, and business expansion?
One of the part is so what the let's look at what the client will look at. The client will look at from a reliability perspective, right? One other thing which is always happening from a tech perspective and the reliable part is the blockchain. We are already seeing that in the diamond business. We are already seeing that happening in the food business to establish the end-to-end traceability of this particular part. So one thing which is happening is the whole integration on the integration of blockchain, particularly for you to get the whole reliability part of it. Second thing which is also coming in is more about the traceability part, particularly delivery and all. People getting that idea that my things are coming, it's moving, right? So keeping people engaged in one way or the other, so that engaging thing one is right from your bit. So more specific thing, the larger term very popularly used is the so-called customer engagement. So that's where I see a huge part which is coming in the customer engagement, keeping them throughout the cycle, ensuring that they remain interested right at the sales cycle happens, but till the time the delivery is done and accepted, there is no rejection at that level. Ensuring that thing is definitely something that's going to happen. I see a very good role for also the AR and VR coming into picture, particularly from handling the critical part of it. I also see that being a very large role in training in coming days, because a lot of riskier things are happening. We are looking at a new skill set, new manpower coming in, people with a very different manpower coming in, people who are not willing to do that kind of internship, juniorship. कि मैं उसको some senior will treat me like anything. I cannot use unparliamentary language, but the juniors were treated just like that, and people used to work and learn from that part and then pick up. That's how I picked up my mechanical engineering, right? But the kids are not going to do that today. So it's better for them to get into the state by providing them with AR, VR, so that they are able to see the things, work on the things in the right part. That would work out. And the most fascinating thing, which is absolutely open, is about the AI, Gen AI, simulation of using that particular part, use of that particular AI in building anything practical that we can do is beautiful, while it's equally scary. But I
Yeah.
think the right use for this particular part is going to make this world very, very different.
Thank you for that, Dr. Shekhar Power. You have any inputs there, sir?
No, as sir rightly said, like the generative AI and quantum computing will change the era. Like when we were in college time, the mobile phones were very rare, right? Means only one
Right.
person, I guess, in our college was having a mobile phone, and it was looking like a compass, right? It is a dabba kind of mobile phone. But that time it was looking as an impossible thing. But now
Right.
everyone is having a smartphone in their pocket, and a smartphone today is like as good as a supercomputer of earlier 90s, right? So
Yeah.
everyone is having supercomputer in their pocket, right? Starting from the vegetable vendor till CEO of the company. So that is the power of the digital era. And I guess with the quantum computing, generative AI, and ML, machine learning, if India will be sooner to adopt it, it will change many things. And blockchain, as sir rightly said, so blockchain methodologies will also help us to sustain privacy, the cyber security areas.
Yeah. With this, we are done with the kind of pointers that we would like wanted to discuss with Charudatta Pande today. Would like to summarize on what we have discussed. We talked about data. We talked about how data can enable businesses, how data can be monitored, what kind of data is used for the kind of analysis that is needed from each of the sector of industry. We have discussed how it enables, how IoT devices enable data to us to do a predictive analysis is what we did, and we discussed on how to monitor some of the parameters that data can be streamlined, that we discussed some part of cyber security in connection with data. Mr. Shekhar Power has given some insights on that. With this lessons, I think the audience would take up this session again, because we have live streamed this to YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. The recording is there, and the link for the recording is available in the invite that we have posted on LinkedIn. We are running these shows predominantly from LinkedIn and just streamed it, so we don't miss the other opportunity for people who use the other platforms to look at our podcasts. And thank you. With this, we would like to conclude. Thank you, Shekhar Power. Thank you, Charudat sir, for being part of
Thank you,
the show.
Charudas sir.
Yeah, with
Thank you,
this,
Prem sir.
For insights.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It was really helpful.
your inputs, Charudat sir. Last inputs. Anything that you want to say to the audience? Anything that you want to say, Shekhar? We will.
I believe that we need to move forward on this. The challenges are there. We need
Yeah.
to be more cautious about it. We are fortunate to have people like Dr. Shekhar Pawar educating people and letting people understand what this part are. But it's very important for us to work with people like him and build that confidence within our teams to ensure that we are moving ahead. The era is going to be all about technology. It's going to be a real-time era. It is going to be the era wherein we are going to grow in a big way, and we are going to accelerate our growth. We want to be a $10 trillion economy. We'll hit that, and we'll be a significant contributor. The only way is the tech. Just be there. Just be cautious. Keep on listening to the conversations like this, and I'm sure you will be able to leverage technology very effectively.
Yeah. Thank you, Charudatta sir and Dr. Shekhar Pawar. With this, we would like to conclude the show. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. So actually, this series which Prem sir is leading with his team, actually it's very informative, and I'm always following this series. A lot of insights, lot of latest knowledge you can come to know. So all the viewers should actually listen this series. There are uh, many prospects which are coming in upcoming shows. Prem sir shared with me before 2 days, so I am very impressed. Like many people like Charu Datta sir are coming and they are sharing their knowledge. And that knowledge, probably Charu Datta sir is having 30 years of knowledge, which he shared in 1 hour, right? So this is that kind of summarized knowledge where we can get. So we should respect this channel and we should follow this channel. So that is my request to everyone.
Thank you for that, Shekhar sir.
Thank you.